That's right, baby. LeBron James himself unmuting to participate in this ridiculous ongoing face of the NBA conversation.
Damn it.
So so coming out of the All-Star game, Anthony Edwards, one of the stars of the league, sure, was giving an interview. And during that interview, he was asked the question, does he want to be the face of the NBA? And his response essentially was, "No, I don't want to do that. That's what they got Wimby for. I just want to be the guy who shows up to work, kills dudes, and goes home." And that's gotten it's continued this ongoing ridiculous conversation about the face of the NBA. And during the post game uh, media availability, LeBron was asked about Anthony Edwards' comments about not wanting to be the face of the NBA. And this was also in lieu of Channing Frye, someone who used to play with LeBron, also giving his 2 cents about the face of the NBA, saying that the biggest problem with the NBA is nostalgia. The fact that people compare the NBA currently to past generations and refuse to let previous generations go is killing the league and it's contributing to toxic dialogue around the NBA. And LeBron basically agreed with all of that and offered up his opinion as to why anyone would not want to be the face of the NBA, Anthony Edwards included. So this says LeBron James sounds off on NBA media in face of the league debate. Shit on everybody. LeBron James will have to eventually pass the torch of being the face of the NBA, but he said he knows the crown is not wanted and knows one of the reasons why. Anthony Edwards was thought of as one of the potential next torchbearers, but at NBA All-Star Weekend, the Timberwolves star pointed his finger towards Spurs big man Victor Wembanyama. James said this week that he didn't take offense at Edwards' opinion, as the 40-year-old said he understands why no one would want the job. The four-time MVP said part of that reason is the NBA has people covering the league who shit on everybody. So I'm just gonna go ahead and play what LeBron had to say here.
I mean, it's unfortunate.
So let me go ahead and blow this up.
It's unfortunate.
So yeah, so here's LeBron. Because I could read the quotes, but who better than LeBron himself to,
Seriously.
give these quotes, and then we'll talk about what he had to say after that.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but I don't know why do you want to be the face of a league when all the people that that cover our game and talk about our game on a day-to-day basis on everybody. You have that responsibility. It's just weird. It's weird energy. I don't know, but Channing, he said it. He said it perfectly. Couldn't say it no better. But Ant said he don't want it. Obviously, I didn't ask for it, but I knew there was a responsibility for me, not only to my family, my friends, my community, and whoever that was going to follow my journey throughout my career. Not only in Ohio when I started there, but all over America and all over the world when I traveled all over the world. So. I've always taken that seriously and understood from the beginning what being a professional was all about and being a role model was all about. So try to hold that with the utmost respect and honor. And but I feel and I understand. I completely understand. This is weird energy when it comes to that. So
Shut up, bruh. Weird energy.
Is there anything else worth me reading here? Let's see. I don't think so. I think that pretty much covered it. James' answer caused a stir around the league and with at least one media member. ESPN Stephen A. Smith took James, all the people. ESPN Stephen A. Smith took James as all the people to include himself, which caused him to rail against the 21-time All-Star on Friday morning. First of all, there's a whole bunch of players that cover the league. They're former players. They're not just reporters. They're former players, former big-time players, former Hall of Famers. You can't be a former Hall of Famer. You either are or are not a Hall of Famer. They talk about the league too. Is everybody negative? Blah blah blah. So yeah, Stephen A. Smith went off on it. LeBron responded, kind of. You see his little response here. Happy this convo has started. It ain't about face of the game, and it ain't about one person or one show. It's about the culture of basketball, the most beautiful game in the world. Our game has never been better. Incredible young stars. Blah 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 blah.
Ugh,
Um,
disgusting.
Incredible young stars from all over the world and some older ones. Steph Curry should be all we are talking about today. Let's discuss how great OKC and the Cavs have been this season with two completely different styles and break down why and how they have. Of course, if players don't perform, we need to discuss that too and break that down. So that was LeBron continuing with this because people came at him somewhat for saying what he said. But there you go, man. LeBron, of course, when he speaks, people listen. And he says, why would anybody want to be the face of the NBA? Because all people do who talk about the game in the media is shit on the league. Are you buying any of this?
No, I'm not. I'm not. Because when you watch major, now I don't know who he's talking about.
Right.
Because when you watch major sports news channels, all they do is praise this man about his unbelievable basketball skills, his basketball mind, his unselfishness, his clutch gene,
His longevity.
He's top 2, top 3, or number 1 every week,
Yes.
every day,
Yeah.
every broadcast. So who is he talking about? I know who he's talking about, and he's talking about everybody else because this is what's going on in the world of sports entertainment. There is a horde of people out there that are LeBronites. They can't see beyond anything he does. He is the greatest to do everything. There's an built-in excuse for every reason he loses. Everybody that critiques his game is a hater. These people are no different than the Beehive or Swifties.
Honestly, they're no different. You're right. They're no different than Jordan fans. It's like, to me, LeBron fans are cut from the same cloth as Jordan stands. I really don't see a difference in terms of the hostility towards a different opinion, other than he's the greatest ever. So because LeBron fans like to do this thing where they blame Jordan and Jordan fans for everything wrong with the NBA and talk around the NBA when they do the exact same thing.
Exactly, if not worse.
If not worse, right?
Because at least with a Jordan thing, there's a lot of reasons to that legitimize that argument. Even though I don't get into that, there's a lot of reasons to legitimize that argument. But for this guy, there's so many reasons. There's countless that are counter to the argument that he's one of the best to ever do it. There's tons of players that I would take over this man, and it has nothing to do with his ability to dunk or bulldoze his way to the hole, complain about fouls or anything else like that. This guy here, he's just a selfish individual. He makes everybody acquiesce to what he does. He turned Chris Bosh into a 3-point shooter. He turned Kevin Love into a 3-point shooter. He took Dwayne Wade, who was, I believe, leading the league in scoring the year before LeBron came, and it just made him into a role player. What he did to what he tried to do to Kyrie. The list goes on. What he just did to Anthony Davis. This guy here is a pariah. I can't stand this man. And this is what he don't like. Because he's the face of the league, there's people out there that critique him for his game and all of the stuff he's done to the game. Him not wanting to participate in the dunk contest, him doing all this other stuff, playing for stats, all these things. And whether he likes it or not, there's a lot of, I think he does love it. I think he loves it, actually. there's all these young people, or not all these, many of these young players that are in the league right now grew up idolizing this guy. They think he is the best, or whatever, and they grew up emulating this guy. So a lot of people around the internet, not in media, major media, but a lot of people around the internet, they like to fault LeBron for today's modern NBA type of player. You know, all about stats, all about accolades, but not about heart, determination, and all those other things. So when he's out here saying that, oh yeah, who would want to be the face of the league, or you know, all they do is crap on us or whatever. He's talking about alternative media, because the real media, which has already been exposed, that he pays for these people. So people like Nick Wright, he's part of Clutch. People like Perk, he's part of Clutch. Shannon Sharp, part of Clutch. And so there's other dudes that are getting Clutch dollars just so they can get on live air and say why LeBron's the best player of all time. So when it comes to being an ambassador for the league, I'll tell you this, he is, like I mentioned this before in the previous Drake topic, he's like Drake of the NBA. He's got all the hits. He's always on the radio. And whenever you think about rap or hip hop or whatever, you think of that. And so the same thing about basketball. He is a name. He's a person that's associated with basketball. But when it comes to bars, substance, making music that pacifies them, that's LeBron James. All right. And so he doesn't hold the league up to a high esteem. Last thing I'll say is he's like, oh, we don't talk about how Cleveland and OKC are tearing up the league. No, we don't. Why don't we talk about that? And it's because they are the league, Clutch Sports. It's a situation where they try to sell this face of the league every single day. So every single day, whether the Lakers played or not, the Lakers are on the thing, or LeBron's on the thing, even before he went to the Lakers. So yeah, man, I'm over all of this stuff. You can't run around here saying you're the king, the chosen one, and all these other things, and then say, "Woe is me." You know what I'm saying? If I had a violin, I would have played it while he was sitting there with his fake ass tears. So not buying it. And yeah, man, he can go somewhere with that. But what are your thoughts, man, on LeBron saying that who would want to be the face of the league? And I got something for Channing Frye too on the go around. But what are your thoughts on LeBron saying that who would like to be the face of the league when you only get crapped on at the end of the day? What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I don't buy what he said. But yeah, he used Anthony Edwards essentially as a proxy to talk about himself.
Yeah.
Because all he was doing during that whole soliloquy there was talking about how he feels the media has treated him, and it had nothing to do with Anthony Edwards because he views anyone who critiques him in a context other than the greatest of all time as objectionable, and that's his problem. Let me first address the face of the NBA thing. The conversation around face of the NBA is a media creation.
Yes.
It's a media machination. All
Yes.
right. I have been on this earth for almost 40 years. I have been watching NBA basketball since I was like 6 years old. I have participated in countless NBA debates in the hundreds, if not thousands, maybe even the hundreds of thousands. Who the hell knows? I lost count. All right. Of all of the heated debates and conversations and back and forths that I've been involved in when it comes to the NBA, not once, literally not once, have any of those conversations been about who the face of the NBA is.
No.
No one gives a damn about that. No one gives a damn about that. I haven't had one. I am 38 years old. I will be 39 in a few months. I have not had one conversation with another person who follows the NBA or watches the NBA about facing the NBA. That is something that no one cares about. Yet it is something that is constantly being discussed as a media talking point on all of the rated shows. So it's a media machination. Fans and people on the street don't even care about that. And it's a media machination because, as you intimated, there's a media aspect to the following of these sports that needs to be addressed by these entities because they need some sort of a linchpin to gravitate towards. So whenever they're having these segments talking about face of the NBA, they're not doing that for fans or people
No.
watching the show. They're doing that for themselves because what they're essentially doing is conducting an on-air real-time focus group session to try to figure out who is the player we can use as the marketing linchpin to make sure that we continue to rate as a business. And for the last 20 years, that individual has been LeBron, and they are in desperate search of the next person who has not come up yet. Because guess what? Players don't care about that either.
Exactly.
They don't care. No one cares about that but ESPN. ESPN is the only entity who cares about who the face of the NBA is. Who gives a shit? No one is talking about that. The millions and billions of people who follow the NBA, I guarantee you, are not walking around trying to figure out who the face of the NBA is. Hey, I'm going to be here to watch these games regardless. So whether there is a clear-cut designated face of the NBA or not, I'm going to be watching these games anyway. So I don't care. I really don't care. Furthermore, so that's one aside, right? That's one aspect of this. The whole face of the NBA and how important a conversation is a complete and utter media fabrication. It's not even real. No one really cares. On top of that, this idea that everybody poops on the NBA. Who are you talking about, LeBron?
That's what I'm saying.
Like who? Are you? I watch these shows every day of my life. All right. When I'm in, I listen to more sports talk radio than music in my car. I'm on Fox Sports Radio. I'm on ESPN. I'm on ESPN Extra. I'm on NBA Radio Sirius XM. All right. I consume nothing but sports media. I don't even watch movies or TV shows anymore. Like my television consumption, my media consumption is sports shows.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
First Take, First Things First. What's some of these other shows? Colin Cowherd. I'm watching these shows every day of my life. No one with a credible voice in the media is really talking bad about the NBA on a toxic level.
No.
Any dissenting opinion from a credible voice in the media is dissecting basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So unless LeBron is equating negativity to somebody saying, yo, bro, stop it with all the threes because your 3-point percentage sucks, no one's talking bad about the NBA. And that's like, Channing Frye is such a clown.
A clown, dude.
Such a clown. He wants to talk about inside the NBA and he's blaming people like Charles Barkley and Shaq for talking bad about current players. No, they're not. I watch that show every week. All Charles Barkley does is say, bro, you're like 1 for 10 on threes. Maybe stop shooting them because you're not that good at them or you're having a bad night. Stop it with the turnovers. Get your free throw percentage up. These guys are making way too much money to sit out games. Have a little more commitment and dedication when it comes to honing in your craft. Get your turnovers down. Get your free throw percentage up. Get your field goal percentage up. Take better shots. When Charles Barkley is talking about how undisciplined the Houston Rockets are because they're a young team still on the rise and they get in games and take bad shots, that's not talking bad about the NBA. That's critiquing basketball.
Exactly.
There's a difference. But you got morons in the media like Channing Frye who are conflating the two. And then here you go with LeBron parroting that speech. Because LeBron is butthurt that the world doesn't universally recognize him as the greatest of all time. So whenever someone gets on television or in a podcast and says, I kind of still like Michael Jordan, now he wants to say everybody talks bad about the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody talks bad about the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you talking about, bro? Are you talking about fans on social media and Twitter? Their opinions don't count. Like fans and random inconspicuous avatars on the internet do not ultimately frame the legacy of these players. The people who frame the legacy of these players are talking heads who are credible in the media. Individuals like Stephen A. Smith and Nick Wright, Shannon Sharp, Chris Broussard, Kendrick Perkins, when they say what they say over the course of 5, 10, 15, 20 years, that's what ultimately frames the legacy of these players, not fans on the internet. So if fans on the internet are saying LeBron's a bum, who cares? They're not credible. No one who is credible poops on the NBA. So that's a fallacy as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what these guys are talking about. What they're doing, in my opinion, is conflating basketball analysis with like cultural critiques. So me saying you're a bad shooter, stop shooting threes, you're taking bad shots, and that's why you aren't the player that you could be, and that's why you're a minus on the court and your team is losing in part because of your play. They're conflating that to mean people are talking bad about the game. When all that is basketball analysis. That's all it is. So I can't stand this crap, and I can't stand these new media morons, these peons, people like Channing Frye, who really do get on these platforms and say this stuff, and they believe it with a straight face.
Richard Jefferson too.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They're doing the game a disservice.
They are.
They're making it worse. So all the way around, this stuff stinks to me. LeBron can get out of here with his nonsense because he made that about himself. It wasn't about Anthony Edwards. I don't care what anybody says. He was talking about himself.
Absolutely.
And furthermore, it's cap that he didn't want to be the face of the league.
Exactly.
Yes, he did. Exactly. Because who would make you know that most people recognize Jordan as the greatest player ever, and you went and took the number.
Right.
What do you like? You don't want to be the face of the NBA, but you took his number. And after you won the championship in 2016, you basically said you believe that you've earned the right to be called the greatest ever.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be the face of the NBA, but you also reserve the right to do that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
These people are out of their minds, just like these people that we talk about in hip hop and rap music, and these box rappers and these Insta thoughts. These people, I swear, bro, I'm surrounded by people who are out of their minds and they've lost all ability to see logic in what they say.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate because you have a lot of impressionable people who do appreciate sports who don't know any better, and they'll hear LeBron talk and they'll believe it. And they'll hear Channing Frye talk and they'll believe it. And they'll go out into the streets and they'll parrot this garbage.
Yeah.
No one is talking bad about the NBA. That is a fallacy. People need to get off that.
Well, I'll tell you this. There are people that are on the ground who bash the NBA. They are, but they're not in mainstream media, you know. So yeah, like you said, those people that are on Twitter or whatever, and there's plenty of YouTube accounts that get plenty of views that absolutely windmill on LeBron and today's modern NBA with their entitlement and all that other stuff like that. It's a narrative going on around that, but it's not not a narrative being spewed on mainstream media.
Correct.
So for him to be running around here saying that, oh, the media, what media? Social media?
Right.
Shouldn't that be the one that actually matters? You know, the ones that's not bought and paid for, you know, by either the league or you. And when it comes to the face of the NBA, this was a thing. This was a thing that started with Jordan. You know, now there was a situation where, you know, I think they really learned what they can do as far as the NBA's marketability with Bird and Magic. Because if my dad, when he was telling me that what was going on before Bird and Magic, he was like, hey man, the league was just a league. People watched it, but it was whatever. But when Bird and Magic hit the league, it was this thing going on. It was a real he didn't use this analogy, but it was a real Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark thing happening there. And so there was a lot of eyes that wanted to watch it. And I think before Magic and them got there, it was still on tape delay. But then eventually it got to a point to where, hey, they're actually showing these games live because, well, there was a more growing interest in basketball. So the NBA from there started to learn how they could benefit off of having stars being the face of the league, you know. And then came Jordan, who actually just fit the bill, you know, just a dynamic guy. So I missed Air Jordan. I was still in Pampers when Air Jordan was being Air, you know. So I caught Jordan when, you know, after the Pistons already beat him up, and you know the league changed the rules to help him. And so, but Jordan did his thing. And while I was watching the NBA in the early 90s or whatever, I couldn't stand Jordan. I felt like the league was colluding and cheating for him. He would get calls that other people didn't get calls for. And then there was this whole thing that, my brothers would say, oh, he's a superstar, man. So he gets a superstar calls. Superstar calls.
Yeah,
What the
that's
hell is
true.
that? Yeah, this is NBA foolishness.
Yeah.
And Jordan was the first person I saw to get that kind of treatment, but he was the face of the league. But one thing that Jordan did is that he just was doing his thing with it. Never did he beat on his own chest, say he was the greatest player of all time. He still doesn't do that. Whenever anybody wants to bring up that conversation or whatever, he always, give homage to the old heads, the people that was before him. And, he always gives his peers, the utmost respect for the most part, unless they said something to him and he took it personal. You know what I'm saying? But then comes LeBron. And so LeBron fit the bill, but then they tried to force a square peg into a round hole. He had all of this God-given talent, but no clutchness. He had all this leaping ability, but no heart. He didn't have any of the stuff that Kobe or Jordan had. Kobe messed it up with the Colorado situation. And so now we got LeBron, who's actually out here that's, whoop-de-whooping. So no stain on his name, no none of that stuff. He's running the league and whatever. But the thing is, when LeBron was doing that, and he wanted it all. So I guess this is a hindsight 2020 thing for him, but I call Capri on that, because he's sitting there acting like, who would want to carry this crown? I mean, getting stones thrown at you every day. I mean, who would want this? Yeah, man, making it seem like he's going through, whatever. No, the only reason why people calling you out, bro, is because we see all of that, all the Capri, all the, avoiding big moments, clutch moments and stuff like that. And for Channing Frye to sit there and talk about it's nostalgia from old heads that I guess just hating, get off my lawn people. You want to call me nostalgia, bro? I'm the same age as Channing Frye, damn near. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a nostalgia situation. This is a situation of me watching guys who actually took the game seriously versus me watching divas right now who are load managing. These guys can.
It's ridiculous, bro. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
telling you, man, these guys, all they do, and we talked about this before, man, all they do is say, wow, these guys today have such better ball skills that it doesn't, all of this other stuff that's going on culturally with the NBA, we should be disregarding that and not talking about it because we need to be appreciating their ball skills. Their ability to do step backs and hit threes, and the skill is so high that all this other stuff that is culturally working to the detriment of the NBA should be ignored because we have a responsibility to prop it up. It's ridiculous, man. And no one's not doing that. But what certain people who are like, to me, I distinguish credible from non-credible. Mm-hmm. Like, to me, you can have a large following on social media, but if you're not like an accredited person in the media, to me, you're not credible. You're just someone who has an opinion that people pay attention to. But there's a difference. So, like, for me, it's the credible people who ultimately shape the conversation around any sport. And all I see from those who I would determine to be credible is critiquing basketball. And if they're not critiquing basketball, nothing negative is really being said. It's nothing but lauding and heralding all these guys. To this day, you have people in the media who are credible who will make excuses for Ben Simmons. The NBA media is soft. Like, as far as I can see, and I watch all of these shows, no one is really critical of the NBA like that. Everyone is pro-player, anti-management. Whenever things go awry, it's not because the players sharded on the situation. It's because ownership and management and the GM did. Mm-hmm. It's always the management's fault. It's always owner's fault. It's never players' faults. Leave it. Some credible people in the media are basically saying the Phoenix Suns aren't because of the players, but because of management. Now, is management somewhat responsible? Yes, but those guys are on the court and they're supposed to be star players. You shouldn't be under 500 and an 11 seed, but they are. And a person pointing out that them sucking on the court, thus becoming an 11 seed, is like people in the media shitting on the game. No, that's basketball critique. And that's what gets me so frustrated and exhausted with this conversation. No one really cares about who the face of the NBA is. That's a corporate machination.
Yeah.
It's a media machination. People who pay attention to and follow the sport don't care. They don't care. And then these guys who get so butthurt and lament how bad the NBA is, they're just mad because someone would dare fix their face to say you're not playing that good right now. There's a difference between that and actually shitting on the NBA. And people like LeBron are conflating those two dynamics. Just because I critique your game and your approach to the game and the way that your team is playing and the results of high leverage playoff moments does not mean I'm shitting on the game. It's basketball analysis. These individuals need to get over it, but they won't because they're whiny crybabies who are entitled and can't fathom a world where anybody would have anything constructive to say about what they do.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And that last little sentence that you said is him saying that you're sharting on the league. And because you're not talking about their game at that point, you're targeting the players and their crybabiness and all that other good stuff, you know. Nah, and but that's my critique of the league. And so it's not so much, you know, you Chan Fry, he could say him and Richard Jefferson, you know, those are really clown human beings. And I just had to look it up, man. We're still younger than Channing Frye. So for him to be hollering nostalgia, you know, I guess he could still say that, but he's saying like it's nostalgia in the sense that it's coming from older people. I guess like the Kenny Smiths and the Charles Barkleys and the Shaq.
Correct. Yeah.
But it's still a situation. It's like, nah, bro, I'm younger than you, bro. And I was there. I saw it. And these guys don't play as hard as the guys in the 90s. If these guys with this type of skill, because these guys are skilled, trust me, I know they are. But if they had as much will and tenacity as those guys in the 90s, it'd be a much better product. And I wouldn't hesitate to say that these guys are better than the guys in the 90s because, yeah, they can do more, you know, but they're not because they're missing something. And it's just the same thing with like modern rap and stuff. You know, these guys can rap as fast, they can freestyle, you know, they can do all of this stuff. These are really talented guys out here. Some guys that really don't need to write nothing down and they can make a whole damn song. You know what I'm saying? But when you listen to that song, even though they're making words rhyme, nothing's making sense. And if they use that talent to freestyle and all that stuff to actually sit down and compose a song, they would be the best songwriters of all time. Instead, the best songwriters of all time are reserved for older generations because they actually sat down and took time in their craft. So the same thing can go with these modern NBA players. There's nothing nostalgic about that. It's very practical. So these guys with all their elite ball skills and all this other stuff, they're still a bad product to watch. They're scoring more points, but it's still a bad product to watch. And this is not a talking point that's being talked on mainstream media. This is being talked on by people who historically watch basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And so for people who are fans of the game, who don't like to see the direction of the game going, of course we're going to have critiques. Last thing I'll say is that the face of the NBA, it is a media imagination, as you say, but it's also an NBA thing, and that's why I was bringing up the whole Jordan timeline situation.
Well, I group the NBA, like when I say media machination, I group the NBA.
Okay.
So yeah, I look at it all as like a corporate thing, like a corporate creation. Yeah.
And this, so the NBA lumped right on in that. Adam Silver lumped on in that, and I told you for the longest, I really felt as though part of the media's narrative, like you said, sitting on there and really think tanking online, not online, on air, like literally just trying to, you know, focus group and be like, hey, who can we make the face of the league? So it was the Ja Morant thing, but he wants to be a YN. All right. Then we got Anthony Edwards, who can care less. You know what I'm saying? And so they wanted to make somebody domestic because it made no sense to skip over Luka. It made no sense to skip over other guys that were balling, but international blood, you know. But now that's why I really feel as though that's why when we talked about the Lakers trade with Luka, I really felt as though the league just bit the bullet and said, look, we got to make an international person the face of the league now, you know, or the face of our franchise, the Lakers. So honestly, man, I really feel as though the league, they do these things They're looking for somebody to prop up because they think that that's the business model. And the reason why I think they think that's the business model is because of what I told you what happened with Bird and Magic. Same thing that's going on right now with the WNBA and Clayton Clark. She's driving up sales, and then they can stick a face to that. And then they're trying to make her the face of the league because she drives ticket sales, she drives everything. So the NBA think that this is part of their business model, but the NFL don't do this more or less until they started doing this crap with Mahomes. And this year, a lot of people started to get upset and calling out the NFL for all the weird things that happen in these Chiefs games. We ain't the only ones that complain about it or see it. So, you know what I'm saying? So these leagues need to get it understood that just let these games play out and let the cream naturally rise to the top. Exactly. And competitive balance is what people want to see. We don't want to see these dynasties. We don't want to see any of that. We want to see teams that are actually well constructed, who play well, follow the rules, win. Period. Whether it's this a situation or not, where we have to have this one person that we have to hold up over everybody else, is garbage to me. It's a crappy business model and it's outdated. So yeah, man, that worked in a world where there was only 35 channels on TV. But nowadays, with all this stuff going on, and there's so many talented players in the league, why not give them all praise? Why not give them all shine? And that way, nobody's going to be hating on just one person because they're tired of hearing about that one person. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, no, 100%. But the thing with Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, and the thing with Jordan, is they captured like the cultural zeitgeist of the league. It was lightning in a bottle, right place, right time.
Mhm.
It was a combination of several things happening at the same time. Who they were, what they represented, how good they were, their games, and then also culturally what they stood for.
Mhm.
So it was an organic thing, is what I'm trying to say.
I
You
agree.
can't make somebody face of the NBA. It's something that happens organically. It's,
Exactly.
the market almost has to determine who that individual is. And if
Exactly.
you're smart enough to recognize who it is, then maybe at that point you can capitalize on it. But you can't artificially assign someone that position. It doesn't work that way.
Thank you.
So you sitting around searching for who the NBA is, it means you don't have one. That's what it means. It means that right now that particular distinction is vacant.
Agreed.
It means that one doesn't exist, and you can't force that. Like, it has to happen organically.
I agree.
So I just think that this is a weird, goofy conversation, period. And it's a goofy conversation that only happens with the NBA, which further cements my belief in the NBA currently dealing with an existential crisis. It doesn't know who it wants to be or where it wants to go. Why do you need a face of the NBA, and why do you need to assign it to somebody versus it happening organically? If you're trying to figure out whether Victor Wembanyama is the face of the NBA, it means he isn't.
Thank
And
you.
I don't care how tall he is and how much he can block shots and shoot threes. These individuals aren't growing on trees. If you're trying to figure out whether he is or is not that person, it means he's not.
Thank you.
Stop trying to force that. And yeah, I feel you with the NBA, but the NFL rather, the NFL is ironclad. They're above this. But as I think about this, and I don't really follow baseball all that closely, but to the best of my knowledge, I don't hear anybody talking about who's the face of Major League Baseball.
No, they don't.
I don't hear anybody talking about who's the face of the National Hockey League. This is only an NBA conversation, which to me is ridiculous. And that to me is a referendum on the culture around the NBA. And nostalgia has nothing to do with that.
No, it doesn't.
Because people thinking nostalgic about the NBA didn't dictate that there must be a face of it. So I just, people need to get out of here with this. Channing Frye needs to sit his ass down.
Yeah.
And again, with LeBron, bro, I respect LeBron, but personally, like I have said before, I can't wait until he retires.
Boy,
can't wait.
You think he talked too much now? Wait how much? Wait how much he talked when he retired, man.
Oh
I'm over all of this crap, man. Get out of here. But I like that business model, man. It's kind of like I said with modern music, man. You just release the whole CD and then let the streets pick out what the hit's gonna be.
Yeah.
Versus like back in the day where the labels was like, hey, here's the things. Like, let the streets choose, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, bro. Shouts out to Charles Barkley and Shaq and Kenny Smith on Inside the NBA. And the clowns like Channing Frye need to go take a knee.
and Richard Jefferson.
Yeah.
Okay, Rock. Can't stand them bastards.